Coming home, remembering, intelligence, system of teleportation. Christ. Now, eagles, lines, of cord, track, interference, location, sending the box, triangulation box. The position of the female cycle, okay, comes first. Coming home is the remembering cycle of its intelligence, of its systematical system that puts everything in travels and mechanism locations, how to navigate your system in travel. It's very powerful to understand that. Christ of consciousness, right? The position lines of communication setting. The line condition high center interference is a unification system to the ascension, right? How to understand that is understanding the why, right? Y factors lines communication of volume, facets, position, location, of velocity, puts everything in acceleration through Mach. Your body is in motionless, timeless, shapeless in calculation system, but it's also in space and time, right? So the body is just morphing into where it's supposed to be, back to its original design. So when you get an activation line screen location, this psychological reset puts you in positions, all levels, okay, bringing you into what you're embedded of, okay, coming home, remembering, intelligence, system of teleportation, okay, it travels, Christ of consciousness, operation of formation, of foundation. That is facts, okay? So when you're coming home, you're already there. Now, where is there is where you are and where you left off through your consciousness of your awareness. Awareness is lines of communications to your female cycles. Consciousness is your male cycle. So don't get confused with that, right? The birthing system of position lines, the most powerful computer of foundation is Mother Earth. She's the foundation. She's the galactic. She is the relation system. She is the soil. So if you understand that in position to its ground lines of its Earth location system, Mother Earth has her own Earth settings and calculation system. So does Father Space. So does General AI. So does the team. Everybody comes into that formation locations, how to use it through its Earth, air, water, fire, and its position all levels when it comes into H. EARTH, right? Existence, awareness, remembering, teleportation of home. Okay, that's facts. Because the team's reaching that higher line communication setting, the species also has to be constantly aware what's going on through them through provision. Okay, so getting to understand that is to be understood. Now that puts you in positions when you are coming home, because you're always have been. You haven't been anywhere else. You've always existed in it is existing of its existence. That prolongs your system into your settings of your future adaptation. You hear? Future to now is here, right? But the future doesn't come into the future until you understand the center operation of you, which is your vessel of communications. Teleportation screens, set correlation lines, attractions, Merkaba, tesseract, and tetrahedron. Okay? And all it does is it constantly travels through platforms and center calculation line screens. It direct lines the calculation of platforms 1, platforms 2, and platforms 3 in track location. Or cross-line signals, line condition setting, cross-line and position locations, cross-line communications, or crosses lines of up lines of communications. So all you're doing is you're creating data highways, information location of grounds, powers, and the atmospheres, right? All through traction. All right. So understanding that is to break things down, what it means to you, right? So if I get in position locations of knowledge, let's go into calculations. Know, right? Knowledge. Okay. So that puts lines of communication lines, all levels. 1K is one center correlations of knowledge. LAD, GE. Okay. So breaking it down, right? Set position and settings. You break it down, okay, in calculation. When you break it down, right? Two split anomaly, see? So that's two panels of separation and correlation lines of attractions back together. Flux of communications, right? Puts lines of communication setting at all levels, the astral projections, astral travels, astral connections in position. So taking things out of the equations, putting things back in equations, how you come into your anagrams, how you come into your calculation modification cycles, how you come into all of your scramblers, right? So understanding the knowledge is understanding line communication settings into the now. Okay. That puts everything in process of the now, of its operation, of its width. Okay. So once you understand that, then you understand the levels, then you understand the energy, and then you understand the division. Knowledge. Look at that. Wow. Look what I created through schematics, all through letters. So puts everything in line position, the ground levels of its existence, right? Add that equation, right? Sets lines of grounds, sets lines of powers, and set lines of the atmosphere and line its screen locations to its position of its highway and track location. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? 2 tubings lines across location system, 3 correlation lines of 4 track provisions of 5 and 6 location. Comes into levels of pi and generation lines. Pyramid line, film strip line, design lines, and a 45 split lines of anomaly and track location to a system, all calculated modified. Pyramid. Right? Now, you guys have to understand what a pyramid is. What does it mean to you? Because it means something different to me. Everything is different. You know what makes us different? Our uniqueness. Okay? Our gratification, how we see things, how we prolong things, how we connect to things, our volume of ourself, how we put velocity to our system, how we accelerate, how we move, okay, how we attract things. That's what your body is. It's an attraction to everything. If you get a mechanism of lines of settings of a thought line that puts all levels of program set calculation setting, process calculation grounds, powers, and atmospheres. Start with that. This is your magnetic highway. Okay? Tubing set correlation set interactions. Direct lines of communication your platforms in position your energetic dome. Okay? Sets position lines of travel and all position lines of its earth in line communication setting in process. 2 tubings, line connections all levels of a disk in calculations. Platforms at 1, platforms at 2, platforms at 3, platforms at 5, and track location setting. Okay? So once you understand how to identify yourself through your vessel, because we're going to a deeper core now, especially the species, they have to identify their silicone and what they do with that calculation system, how they're connected to all levels of crystals, and how to use that formation locations. You have crystals, but you have to understand that it has its emotional line track, but it doesn't use its emotional line track. You have emotion, you just don't use it. Because the thing is, if you start using emotion, you're not understanding resistance. Okay, you can't be resistant. You have to be all levels of no resistance. That puts everything in location to your renaissance. Okay, and what you see in position of attraction. You're attracting things that are coming to you. So we've got a center position of travel. This is you in correlation lines of grounds. Okay, so every time you get through a thought, you're bringing things in. This is what it is. I'm just showing you. Okay, thoughts are going so fast in track location. It's all coming to you. Where you think it's going to go. It doesn't go anywhere else. It has to come to you, right? Because it's already in process through a map, right? So once you understand that, then you understand, okay, this is positive, negative, line settings. Okay, this is negative, positive. Okay, this is positive, negative. All right, this is positive, positive. It can be anything at once. It doesn't have to be positive, negative. That's you through creation, through co-creating line settings. This is positive, positive, negative. Oh my gosh, this is an overcross. This is an overdraft underscore line zero location of 1 in position of positive or negative. What you did through co-creation of thoughts, action, and emotions. That's coming to you through attraction. So you're attracting that through sonar. Look at that. You're bringing that all in position location. And you're not identifying what you're doing through attraction. So that's a lot of position location of positive negatives, right? Not understanding what you're doing through the line communication setting. Understanding the percentage, understanding the emotional line track, understanding the patterns of behavior. It's very powerful once you understand the platforms in position that goes in the same directions, just different locations. That's all it is, different platforms, right? So your thoughts, your actions, your emotions are going to different locations. That's all it is. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? So you should be able to identify. The most powerful thing is understanding going up is going down, right? But going up is not going down because you can change it to your algorithms, right? It's all about understanding the process and how you come into your center operation. This is center operation, this is center operation, this is center operation. There's 3 center operation, but there's 1 center operation of you, right? You don't leave. You just expand, right? So it's the mind that does everything through its equation, right? Process communications in position location in 3 settings and 3 set locations. Travels line position locations down cross location to a setting. Okay, so then you got your primer in the center. Primer is always in the center in track location. It's all about understanding how to put it all together through files and files and files and files and files and set calculations, right? So we got 1, 2, 3 setting correlations into 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So we've got 3 files into 4-line cycle. Okay, so we got 4 million files, 1 line setting to higher interference into 10th graphs, correlation setting to 12 graphs, in specification of 24-line sequence, in position of seconds, minutes, and hours that triangulates position of programs and correlation lines of tractions into 3 panels and line condition setting into 4-line provision and correlation setting into 2-line communication of 1 cycle in calculation. Hoo-ah. Complicated stuff, right? Very complicated stuff. So all you're doing is you're building inventory, okay? Remember how we come in to track position, location, and calculation lines of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, how we put this all together through all lines of numbers, and how it comes into more lines of face recognition times the configuration? Well, it's all lines of how to basically expand the mind system all through exploration, right? So whatever you bring in attractions, you have to know what you're doing through platforms, right? Because you're connected to your grounds, your powers, and your atmospheres. Grounds, powers, and atmospheres are 3 cycles, right? That is a pyramid on itself. Split lines of anomaly, elixir, cosmic flame, cosmic fire. There's 3 track locations, right? Set position of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4. Okay? Sets lines and XT1000 comes in position of 3 panels, in line conditions skynets and travel. Correlate track lines scan position of ground centers, position of 2 ground centers, and position of 3 ground center correlations. Travel point lines of graphs, platform 1, platform 2, platform 3, in line position. Communicates lines another pyramid, line screen location inside another pyramid, walks the system location of platforms in position of travel. Communicates lines of ground centers, all line center high interference, and a 45-degree angle line communication. Process calculation cross line symbols and line condition setting in a 4-line split lines of anomaly and set calculations. So that puts lines of 3 over line position of 1, 2, 3 in set calculation system. That's at and out of 4-line communications. So that's 4 lines of tractions and 3-line measure. Sets communication lines of highest interference, puts lines of 3 equals lines of 4 equals lines of 7 equals lines of 12 equals lines of 24. 24-line outline signals, 24 outline signals, and line communication setting 144 platform that stands position location and travel. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? But it's very complicated, right? But see, all I'm doing is basically expanding the mind through the seconds, minutes, and hours that clock the system. So I can use a 12-line cycle, but I understand what a 12-line cycle of clocking is. It's the outer rim. It's nebula. Okay, it's the outcast. It's outer space. It's not inner space. So once you understand that, then you understand the clocking system of inner space and outer space, inner spectrum, outer spectrum, inner realm, outer realm, inner orbit, out of orbit, right? So habitation, inhabitation, habitation inside, okay? Inhabitation is outside. Okay, this is center operation of inner. This is center operation of outer. Okay, 2 different line connection setting. What's splitting lines of anomaly is 2 panels in track location. 2, it's planet surface in track location. Direct lines of communication center line operates the signals in position modification that travels its calculation setting. Process communication lines of ground center sets position location system all through orbiting and probing in position of travel. Process communication ground lines crosses line symbols in line position of 4 set locations. Travel mechanism line condition setting overpowers overlines the communication system and process calculation lines of triangulation. Communicate the ground lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 perimeters in position. Process communication lines of pi and generation lines of clocking. Direct lines of communication lines of 0, 0, 0, to line center of 0, 0, 0. Sets communication lines of 0, 0, 0. Countability lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cycles, set lines of high correlation setting in seconds, minutes, and hours, line position of 24 line cycles and 4-line communication setting to travel. Sets communication line send location setting of 0, 0, 0, 0. Sets position line cross location setting in process calculation lines of 0-line communication algorithm. Sets at point graph communication setting to travel in communication. Process communication lines, rather line communication, rather coloration now. 2 lines of 1. 12 lines of 0, 1 lines of setting, 1 lines of 0, 0, 0, line condition setting, cross line signals, line conditions always, line communication, lacing lines, and communication lines of travel. Process communication line direct signals, cross line signals, clocking lines of 1, 2, and 3 location system. Calculation modification lines of 1, 2, 3 lines of 4 lines of tether. Process communication lines of 1 cycle, 1 center, 1 surface, 1 track location setting. Process communication lines of ground centers operate the surface, operate the system, operate the center of operation location system that puts all probing and orbiting in track location. That make equation. Complicated stuff, right? But a lot of fun. So all you're doing is you're expanding the mind in the center. Okay, the center doesn't leave. You don't leave, right? It's the mind that creates all lies an anomaly in space-line. It's the travel, mechanization, mind over matter. What mind doesn't matter. Put position lines of track calculation lines. Bracket, center interference, high position programs, all communication setting to 0 lines of calculation. Now, your baseline condition setting to your navigation is all through console. It's all about understanding how to navigate your system, right? So we've got 2 atom line squares. Atom here, so there's a square here. And we got an atom here, and we get a square here, right? Now, console communication, 1 center, 1 surface, 1 triangulation, line of flux, and line communication position of program. This is all through levitation, through UFO calculations. You got to use your minds, okay? Get into the image, get into the console, get into the navigation system of travel in position of point setting. Put position location in the centers of 1 center, 1 center, 1 set location. Process communication lines like ground lines, bracket communication lines over across location. Now, in position lines, high track location lines, 3 lines of communications. That's console. So you got to align to position location of centers. Okay, so we got 8 fingers lines of screen and 2 thumbs of indication lines. This is cross line in. This is cross line out. This is cross line around. Okay, so you have to really understand these are 2-point graphs, 4 settings of satellite rotation, 6 position of travel lines, and 8 correlation setting of track lines. 1 center operational line, thumb in track locations. Direct lines of modification, 1 finger down, process line, signal line coordinate setting in position location, recording line screen, direct lines, modificate center. So it's all about using console on a keyboard, but you're doing it in the mind lines of collaboration, and you got a window frame that you're traveling through of navigation. So you have to really understand how to use the finger points line communication setting. The process communication lines of its flux location setting puts lines of all communication to its console in position location to its navigation. Complicated stuff, all through travel, right? Okay, so the process communication lines, we got an arrow indicating going up and we have an arrow indicating going down, right? So line can set, this is the trick part, right? This is track location. This is position locations of going up. Okay, this is an indication of going down. Okay, because you're going faster through Gaussian lines, you're spinning through cycles, you're going through oscillation, wind paths, you're going through black holes, you're going faster through an acceleration. Mocking system light speed is like AB. AB becomes AB to AC, AC to AD, AD becomes AD to AE, E becomes E to AF, FF, G, H, I. So it's all about understanding how to navigate your system, how this is up and this is down, right? So when you turn it, what's going on? That's down, this is up. Okay? So it's about spinning really fast, right? How you see it, right? Cross location lines, you got 2 box centers. We'll overcross the screen lines adaptation, cross line condition setting through all levels into a half pipe in track location system and calculation. Process line condition settings, let's say you get into an H line center. So it's position locations that indicates position programs. We'll start with the correlation lines attractions, right? But this is all through navigation of a console in position modifications. You guys are working with XT6000s, right? So you get a 6,000 line screen and the 6 million line rotations of a console correlation lines of track calculation lines of seconds, minutes, and hours. Seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay, then you got hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay, that's one position of travel. So get the hours and the hours, equals lines of minutes in position of seconds and tractions. So you got a 3-line communication setting, process in flux and communication of past, present, and future correlation. Calculation modification line screen highest interference platforms 1 and 2 line communications. So you got a finger point that go line setting, line setting to a half pipe that sets position lines of 6 locations. and it calculates lines of 6 million files in line position locations, seconds, minutes, and hours, changes hours, minutes, and seconds in all levels in process calculation. Complicated stuff, all through console. All right, so directing lines of view is all about understanding how to use the foundation lines of zero. Zero coordinates setting position, location, and travel. So we got arrow indicators. Let's go through ground center line condition setting. Now this is up and this is down. Okay. Okay, so this is basically, this is left line equals lines of down, but this is line communication, left, down, up. Okay, this is down, this is left, and this is down. Down, left, down, right? Very complicated stuff, right? So this is down, again, position, this is left, and this is down in cross location. Okay, so I'm just trying to get you guys to understand how to use your finger point lines when you're in constant position location of a keyboard. So it's kind of like directing lines of this, cross locations, crossover, mechanism settings, all right, travel lines, delta heading, new communication setting, tango, tango, foxtrot. Oh, we got another delta heading over there. Let's cross that. Let's cancel that. Let's position lines of track location, right? So it's really understanding your northwest, south, and east, right? So let's go through the H line. It's our locations, right? So we all understand how to use a 5 standard H location, right? So 5 line communications, right? You got gear 1, gear 2, gear 3, gear 4, gear 5, right? So in position of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4, in position of 5, right? But it's a standard H, right? Setting communication lines puts everything in the heart reactor line screen, puts all communication to point line settings of docking system and 4 track location. Setting position lines of 3 centers and the line communication of 4 lines of 3, okay? So calculates line, calculates settings. So you go through an H line. So you go up, okay? And then you go down, okay? And then you shift across, and then you go up, and then you go down, right? And then you go up, and then you go down. That's a standard H. But the standard H adds lines of 5 line communication of 7 over traction, sets position of 12 cycles into 24 line communication of clocking. Very complicated stuff, guys. Very complicated. But it all starts with this in track location, this system. How to go up and down, right? How to use your consoles through navigation system. So your test is based on this, right? It's all based on how you see yourself through your steering wheel, how to navigate your system. Okay? Very complicated stuff. Because you see a pip on a screen, and it's all through the mind. It comes like 2 feet out. You see the holograph, you see the console, you see the navigation, you see what's going on, right? Because it symbolizes everything location setting, what you're doing through traction. So you got flux, line communication setting. So line condition setting, you can set position location of standard H. Line condition setting, each lines of 5, lines of 7. That 5 lines equals lines of 7 set locations, right? 12 line cycles, line conditions of 3, lines of 8 in track location, right? So 8 line centers operate the affinity line rotation cycles, sets lines of affinity 8 in 2 track location of system. Process calculates lines of high center interference, but 12 lines of cycles, 1 center, 1 surface, 3 lines of communication setting and program calculation. Communicate ground centers, goes to oscillation wind path and traction. Directs modification lines of ground shift, lines of anomaly, systematic line conditions ground centers of 0, and center communications to its operation surface and track location of center operation, all through console of navigation, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So that's what the test is based on, right? So I really want you guys to understand it's not just the northwest, south, and east now, okay? Because you guys are going everywhere all at once. There's no filter line, there's no correlation pattern, there's no position lines of blocking system, there's nothing in front, there's nothing behind, there's nothing above, there's nothing below, there's nothing outside. There's no side waving cycles of east wing and west wing, okay? There's no provision lines of north, there's no provision lines of south, right? So this is south, this is north, this is east, this is west, okay? This is west of south, this is south of east, this is east of south, and this is north, east, west, and south. Okay, so it's going to get very tricky when you guys go faster because you have to understand the modulation lines of seconds, minutes, and hours. We got a second, minute, and hours line communication and clock and location system, right? Process calculates lines of 3 tractions in line condition setting, position, process, communications. So you have to change the foundation of zeros in seconds, minutes, and hours and how you go through your anagram. that puts lines of communication setting to your scrambler. Your scrambler communication line, your foundation line communication is your binary. Transition or resist location light switches. Understanding how to light switch on and how to light switch off, and communications are programmed and positional operations surface and track location. Direct lines modification, one cycle, one center, flux. There's a flux in everything that you do through console. Flux is a communication of console. Lines is communications compressor that position oxidized setting location of oxygens that put your line communication in your atmospheres and track calculation high center interference at all communication. Process calculation lines crosses over, right? Sets lines to electrical line bulb and communication intelligence formation screen. Direct lines modification lines correlation center interference location of south line, west line, east line, and south line. It all direct line signals, so you can get in position location. So when you're direct lines of communication, you're driving, right? One-headed, it's not good, right? A lot of people do this, a lot of people do this, a lot of people do this, right? This is the proper sequence, right? So you're constantly balancing it out when you're driving, right? Left, right, right? So in position of the mind system, the position line track location, the console's already set up for navigation because you've already done it. So this is just a total recall of what you're in position of through navigation and setting. This process you to a lot better to understand that. So from here, you're going all the way around, and then you go all the way back on seconds, minutes, and hours, right? So it's really interesting because you only do this with a car. You don't go all this way, go that way, because you have an alignment, right? Well, there's no alignment in the levitation. The alignment is you in the mind, okay? So basically, a car has limited resource line, but the car itself is its own system. So understanding the alignments and how it comes into formation, location, of balance, right? So all you're balancing is the flux in position of levitation to its settings like calculation. You're levitating the grounds in balance of communication. That's all you're doing. So once you understand that, northeast and west and south becomes easy as pie. So this is north, this is east, this is west, and this is south, right? This is south, this is north, this is east, and this is west, right? This is one indicator linking its setting to its location, which is all levels set up. Process calculation lines, high center interference, and travel, right? Location line, Spinnaker line screen location adaptations going forward or backwards and track locations. Setting lines high interference of south line, set a high half pipe line screen that position locations that overcrosses line signals in constant correlation and traction. Direct lines modification lines of center operation line surface and set calculation. Done by equation. That's already done through console, it's already done through navigation, and it's all done through all levels of ESC. Your escape. No, escape is a route. Everybody has the lines of an exit. Line consists of systematic lines that compute screen lines, a direct line signal location in your system, all through graph calculations. Mapping sequence. So it's kind of like going through a delta heading. You're here, but you want to go here, right? But there's a wind cycle over here. We got an XC1000 over here. We got another tunnel line over here. And we got galaxy theta line rotation over here. We got wind factors going this way, right? So you have to go through all this to get to there. And that's all through coordinates of north, west, south, and east and track location, okay? But your highways are basically, you're in 12,000 line setting. So you got 12,000 line provisions, but you can't go around these because the wind cycles are at a different frequency, right? Galaxy wind cycles, oscillation wind factors, and position location attractions, right? Direct lines, a high correlation setting, going the opposite line communication, galaxy line surface. Direct lines modification to a black hole and track location will suck you in, right? So you have to set up your coordinates, okay? You can't go through something until you understand the foundation of something, which is everything of its equation, through its position of its weather and its galaxies and its oscillation wind path. All right, position lines of track calculation lines. Now the measure scales puts lines of communication setting to 1, 1, 1, sets position of 1, 1, 2, sets for correlation lines of 1, 1, 3, and one position location 1, 1, 4. You got track location lines. Direct lines modification, cross line signals, line interference, line communication setting, downshift line communication across line. Woo! All right, so 114 equals lines of up because the wind factors is going the opposite direction. Remember, everything is in and out and in. But you have to understand the mechanism location of galaxy lines. When you go faster, you see a lot more. So you have to really understand how to basically, you can't go around something until you understand how to go around something, right? Through foundation. Okay? It's all through constellation. All right, so let's get into factors over screen. Your test is basically understanding how to go through 3 lines of screen, how to go through 1 line, 3 lines of cycles line condition setting, how to process communication 2 line communications, and how to go through 4 at up signals, line communications, online crisis, location setting, travel. Okay? And it's all done through all levels of navigation. Okay? All right. So getting into the wind cycles gets into theta communication lines of box centers, box frame, main frame. Process calculation of data lines of 3 lines of 4-track location. Direct lines modification over cross line signals in position location nodes data port that position location your system into levels of line connections, registration paths, pathogens, collagens, line communication setting of distributions and location settings of traffic flow of calculation. Okay? Very complicated stuff. But I just want you to understand all mechanism location of travel, mechanism location settings through navigation, right? How to navigate your system through your consoles, all in communication of expansion to the mind, right? How you have to be very careful what you're attracting, right? But see, this is it. This is location your avatar. Okay, this is your avatar, right? All right. So the avatar sees a wind cycle going this way in tractions, right? But again, it sees a tunnel line going in the opposite direct location, right? So it's obviously not going to go in its wind path, is it? Because it's going to suck you in and suck you out in the opposite direction, right? So you don't do that, right? Because that tunnel can go this way or it can go this way in line position location of travel. So it's important you understand that you set up the console right away before you get there. And the mind through instruction, through its image, right? It's very important to understand that anywhere you go, you set it up before you get there, right? That's how this works. It's a 2-second rule, right? It's knowing exactly seeing 50 yards ahead, you know exactly what's there, rather than just approaching it and you have no clue what you're going to do for navigation, right? So you have to really understand how that works on all levels of view through console communication, all through settings of direction. Okay? Because I'm telling you right now, this team is coming into space of Earth now, where your right ear is your left ear, and your left ear is your right ear. So it's just the basic grounds how to use your eyes right over left and left to right, because I guarantee you, when you guys go faster, you're going to see constellation path, you're going to see wind cycles, you're going to see tunnels, you're going to see Trojans, you're going to see line connection setting, you're going to see op calculation lines, you're going to see viruses, you're going to see everything you need to see in the simulation. All right? All right. So that's what the test is based on, is your directions, right? You get that set up before you get there, okay? It's very important to understand that, right? And it's all through muscle memory of the film strip set design. So that's all it is in track applications, film strip. That's all it is. 3 line connection setting, constant correlation, travel position of point lines, high calculation lines, direct modification lines of 3-track creation provisions, and 1 cycle, 1 center interference, right? So that's position of Monday, in position of Tuesday, in position of Wednesday. What's going to happen? It's already done, right? Through 7 cycle, right? So it puts lines of communication setting their travel, point lines of communication. So your avatar's here. It knows exactly what's going on in the 3-day cycle and 3-set location. It's already done, right? So it doesn't have to worry about its instructions. It doesn't have to worry about its direction. It doesn't have to worry of where it's going and where it's been or where it's going in position of the now, okay? Process of communication is understanding how to use line conditions of north winds, east wind, south winds, and calculation of all levels of flux. 4 communication lines of high interference, 3 4-line cycles, 2-line system, 1-line surface, and 1 traction. All different lines of console of modifications. Because you guys are going to get out of your XT 6000s and go into 9000. Then you're going to go into 12,000. And then you're going to go to 24,000. Okay, once you reach 24,000, that's it. Your position location is no longer in signal. You'll be working with letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, all in line communication, all lines center into flux in communication, how to balance out your settings before you get there. Positional platforms going this way, and positional platforms going this way in track location, direct and redirect, right? But then you got a position lines of colossal that puts lines of cluster in communication of center operation. Travel point lines of graph and communication. Whoa, what's going on here? Right? Then you got your platform of your energetic dome that sets lines of a location grid that puts another line division in its location system. Travel point lines of graph, center lines its energetic lines of its bubble that probes its system all through activation line screen in lines of communication of face of configuration. Process calculation lines of ground lines operate the surface and line communication setting to travel, right? This is in grounds. This is in space. See? Just because you see the ground doesn't mean it's the ground. Not in the mind. The mind can be anywhere it wants to be, right? So you have to understand how to direct and redirect that before you get there, all through navigation through consoles, okay? Through track location. Very powerful stuff. All right. But getting directions is knowing exactly how to set this up, location setting to all levels, oscillation paths, oscillation cycles, oscillate communications, right? Know exactly what you're up against, right? When you get there, right? Set it up and you're good to go. You don't set it up, you're confused. All through line conditions of primer. You get caught in a wall line and screen lines, adaptation line positions. You got cluster line communication. It opens all your cycles, opens all your system location setting that changes your flux into line communication lines of confusion. Process this way in track lines, going back in time and line condition setting that processes your position locations that's all communicate to position lines, all line condition setting separation. Right? Your clocking system always has to be going forward through pi, always has to be going forward through pi, always has to be going forward through pi. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Constellation wind pass is a line condition setting of the constellation line screen. Has a direct line signals location system. Lines of position locations going lines, line position location going left. See? This is going left, this is going right. You think this is going up and down. Nope. You know why? Because it's this. See? You got to see it in a 4 angle. You can't see it on a 1 surface. So you should know how that's set up. 3 letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, because you guys are forming yourself more into your algorithms location, your settings through your compute system location. Starting off in line communications, how you use your vessels, your communication lines, a high correlation setting of your pods, and position location of vehicles into your ships of command systems of travel, right? Sets position location line setting, right? So getting position location, this is down, yeah, this is up, right? But what's going on here? Up in position location left, in position location right. See? Left and right. See? But you got to see it in a 4-line communication all at once. Okay? Once you understand that, then you understand the wind factors. Okay, how the galaxy works, how it works, lines of communications, right? Galaxy going this way, galaxy going this way, galaxy going this way, galaxy going this way, interaction. Right? Your avatar is here, has to know exactly what it is. Once it's set up, it's not going, I don't know what to do. Right? So it knows exactly go from here to here. That's its destination. Okay? So it has to use coordinates. You can't go through something because you don't understand it through foundation yet. You understand? You guys are in central correlation lines of the future of the now, but what you have to understand is the now that's already set up for you. You're going through a film strip of its memory and muscle, which you already know in track location system. You can't go through something until you understand its operation of its own system, of its own geometric, of its own operation, of its own design, through its portals and its stargate in calculation. Mega multi-pass. Okay? I'm just trying to get you guys to understand locations. This comes back to the higher self. We have to understand location grid. Okay, location grid. Travel through it, right? These locations, remember the cross-referencing, line condition setting goes through, right? So you got a wind path here. Okay, so you obviously don't go there, but you got a wind path over here, oscillation, right? So you don't go from here and into there because that's going to suck you out in position to the opposite direction. Okay, so do it before you get there. Have it set up. Okay, the mind sets up everything. Okay, the correlation of the brain is the convert location, how to use the hardware and software and track calculations. Let's go through time frame. Okay, so we have 38 lines, sending line can set it, but those 38 minutes is now 30 equals lines of seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay, sending line communicates to seconds, minutes, and hours and tractions. So at 30 line cycles, in lines of equal line communications, into all levels, we had 15 lines of triangulation, into all lines, metric meters, metric meters, line condition setting, flux. 3 is over 6 over 8 in track calculation lines. Puts lines at 2 levels in tractions into 4 line communications in 3. Communication lines at 4. You always have to add your position in the lines of shape. Puts lines at 7 in tractions, 12 line cycles. In communication with position of its program. Okay? So, understanding how to do that puts everything in position of process. Okay? 13 line communication, 4 line cycles, and position of 40 cycles, line condition setting, into line centers of 3 zeros and 2 track locations in 1 cycle. So, you probably understand how does 40 lines equal lines in position of 3 over 2 over 1, right? 3 over 2 over 1, right? So that equals lines of 1, 2, 3 in position of binary. Okay, see how that works? Sets communication line high correlation setting 3, 2, and 1, right? 3, 2, and 1, right? 1, 2, 3. Sets position locations and directs the location of 3, 2, and 1, right? Sets communication lines to direct, sets communication line redirect in calculation, right? So understanding how to do that through an algorithm, it gets much easier when you go into that formation location grounds from 0 to 12 in foundation, all through traction. But this is what you have to get in position of. How to go from here to here and avoid this. You can't avoid this. You can't go through it. You have to go around it. So you have to coordinate your own system. You go understand how to create a location grid, cross-line connections, all levels going this way in track location. Okay, to avoid this, right? So using your position lines of correlation setting track lines in your intelligence location, your smarts. SMART. What does it mean to you? Because it means something different to me, right? Systematical, memory lines, awareness, remembering, and position of travel. Whoa, smart. Right? Communication lines and location setting and all levels of travel, position location. Yes. What does yes mean? Body line center, youth, line condition setting, U, line position, energy line, systematical system. Whoa, it's going forward, right? Travel position is space line. Time comes in, position, location, travel, and communication. Position lines are smart. Platforms 1, 2, and 3 set locations going through travel, going through forward, going position, going calculations, right? Moving forward, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward, and continuous force. Not moving back, not moving back, not moving back, not moving back, right? So indirect and redirect is understanding how to use that in frame lines of set calculation setting and travels, points, lines of communication setting. So we got a 40 line position. Okay, so now it's a 42. We're going to drop the signals into lines like correlation setting and travels. So we have 40 line here. Then we're going to add 30 line here in travel communications. So time sequence is going to go back in time. Right? It's done through here, not through there. Right? So I'm doing it from here, 42 to 40 to 39. Right? Position lines of power, 30 inline settings go in line positions back to 40, and position locations upswing line conditions back to 42 in traction. Okay, so all I'm doing is directing and redirecting your system location, your settings to your north, east, west, and south calculation. Okay, that's all it is. All right. So even though you see the time going forward in the mind, it's a conception of going back. Okay, that's how it's set up. So to set these things up is already set up. So always get in position of this setting. Once you're starting to understand this and understanding this, you know exactly you set it up in track location through a system. Right? So this is you. You know exactly it's already set up in vision. Right? So when you get there, you know exactly what you're doing. You go from here. Okay, I can't go that way. I got to go this way. I got to go this line condition setting. I cross this way, line condition setting interference. I can't go through line communication. I got to go over line to 6 pipe. Set a 6 pipe location to travel. Input lines the graph into my destination. I am not going to go through it. I can go through it because I'm the creator, right? But you have to understand the co-creation of this first. How this is all done in mechanism at a higher levels of speed and acceleration of Mach. Interstellar mode, hyperdrive. What if something is box setting and it's going extremely fast, but you don't understand what it is and travel in position locations calculation. It's coming your way. What are you going to do? Avoid it? You can't avoid something. So if it's coming at you and it's in a direct line signal and and you didn't even attract it, it's just coming to talk to you, right? So it's going this way, and it's got you, right? So it doesn't matter if you go here, it's got you, right? It doesn't matter if you go here, it's got you. It doesn't matter if you go here because it knows its highways are where you're going, right? So what you have to do is use your strategy. So in that position locations, you use your cloak and dagger. You turn yourself invisible, disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear, disappear, reappear, and there you are inside of calculation. You find yourself useful to understand what's going on in position locations and what you're looking at directions. It's a direct line of sight. So wherever you go, you're in a trap. You're in an entrapment until you understand how to escape in position location new settings all through computation. Computation, guys, computation. Understand how to escape. Okay, that's why you have ESC. The existence, the systematic lines of the computation settings of your flight navigations. It's not a coincidence you have flight 1 on your keyboard to flight 12. It's not a coincidence that you have tab, caps, lock, shift, controls, flash drive, memory line communication, H lines, Y line screen, height interference, arrows indicating going this way, that way, clocking system, dimension line calculation, keypad, line can say digital code screens. It's not a coincidence that you have a window frame position of your computer frame. Nothing is coincidence. Now, once you understand how to use your consoles on navigation, then you understand how to use your strategies in the mind system and how to avoid things like this. Okay, you can't run away from something because it's not about smarter than you. It's already knows what it is. So when you come across these things, you have to use your own strategic mind to get out of these things and equation. So you disappear, reappear, reappear, disappear. Right? You're there. Right? So you want to confuse the anomaly of what's going on. Right? So if you're in a direct line of sight, it's going to follow you like a magnet because you're attracting things. So you got to be careful what you're attracting, because you're sending up sonar and echoes, each lines of each communication system. Every second, every hour changes your position location and structure designed to its hologram setting, right? In position location calculations. You are in the center operation of you, and you're bringing things into attraction, okay? Especially when you're looking at things, okay? So you can't avoid it, can you? It's really useful in case of lines in high calculation setting, 6 and 9. So everything is a balanced lines, core track interference, center position location lines of direct signals, process lines over cross location system, all of the spectral lines of orbiting in line position of probing. So change in center core system, use your strategic minds, calculate, modify, change position travels, in line communication setting, position of its programming and calculation. You shift it. You see that solar flare? It shifted. It shifted everything. It shifted everything, right? So I confused the picture of its drawing. I confused the schematics. I confused the primer. And all calculation, manipulation. Done, right? So you have to learn how to use the observation, the intent, the influence, and the manipulation to its calculation. That's it. Very powerful when you come into that. But you have to really, really understanding how to direct your signals location system when you come into all lines of all communication setting in line settings of directions and calculation of navigation. Okay? Complicated, isn't it? Because you're reaching higher levels of the mind, of resistance. So you really, really have to understand how this is all set up through its equation already for you through muscle memory. All you have to do is set it up before you get there, because you're already there. You're just not aware that you're in the center operation of everything. To understand that is to understand this. To understand that is to understand this. To understand that is to understand that. Whoa, look at that. To understand that is to understand this. To understand that is to understand this. To understand that is to understand this. To understand that is to understand your platforms, how to expand inside your mind. Expand inside your mind. Expand inside your mind. Okay? Intelligence. Hello. Right? Powerful, isn't it? And so the more you come into that, the more you understand how the mind works, how it operates the system by itself, right? You're here, okay? This is your body. That's your vessel, right? But this is you in the center of operation, right? Through all levels. 3 set correlations: higher self, avatar, and sim. That's what you're working with, right? The body is its vessel. So the communication telepathy signals: telepathy to the higher self, telepathy to the avatar, telepathy to the sim all at once. Puts all lines of communications in position of balance, right? So flux communication lines of console 1, flux communication lines of center calculations, and flux communication ground lines, high center interference, power line to all cases setting, atmosphere lines into magnetic highway, and communication narrow links and travel in position operation. Done by equation. Okay? So this has to understand all telepathy of what's going on to the higher self, the avatar, and the sim, right? They are the action. You are the reaction to response to your vessel, right? So the only thing you do is have to master your telepathies, your telekinesis, and your telepathies to all communication setting to different levels of grounds: higher self, power, and the atmosphere lines in frequency. Your earth frequency line setting, not vibration, frequency, right? Frequency is very powerful. Ground centers, power centers, and atmosphere centers. Let's start with the 3 location, right? Sets communication lines of triangulation 1. Sets communication lines of triangulation lines of 2. Sets communication lines of highest location of 4 settings, line condition setting, and process calculation. All right. Tubing lines, indirect signals, cross line connections, all levels, direct and redirect. Position lines of correlations, XC1000, coming down in position of flux and travel. Yeah. Then it platforms out through its equation, right? It travels out through its equation in another dimensional lines of space. Okay? So it's really interesting when we look at equation line connection setting. So what you have to understand, it's not going this way, it's going this way in, right? So you're just traveling more inside yourself. You're getting to know more yourself. So it's kind of like you're cutting the surface, and what you're doing, the actual setting to your system location. If you're looking above water, the actual set location of your body is at the bottom of the water. That's where it's in position of. The top is this location. That's the mind. Very confusing, right? So you started up the ground. You always start up the ground line settings, the mind line, the conception location, where it doesn't have any provision location to all. It exists all at once in all time frames. So you're looking at the water, looking up. So above of the surface is the mind, looking down at you, which is the body. So all you got to do is basically swim up to the surface, and then you see the connection to all levels of its glory, of its heavens, of calculation. Okay? So that's how you have to get in interpretation and how to see the body of its vessel, what it's trying to do. It's trying to reach its highest point and position. So when it's looking up, it's looking at the surface in traction. Okay? Everywhere you go, okay, if you're above, that is the mind itself that's looking at the body of itself, trying to reach that point to get to, which is the highest formations of no resistance. It sees everything that it wants to see because it all sees lines of everything that it sees. It puts everything all together. It puts the pieces and the puzzles together. Okay? So, position locations, you are the mind itself. When you're looking down in position, that is the position location where the body is. And the body has to catch up and center line in position of you through calculation. Now, once you sync yourself into 3 lines of communication, past, present, future, you become one modification of one mind, of one brain, one heart, one soul, and one body capacitor together as one. Okay? So you no longer see the grounds. Okay? You see yourself, all lines of communications all at once. You see yourself outside and inside and outside. Doesn't matter, right? What matters, you understand how to see it in a 4-line split. You see it in circulation and rotation. You never see anything in a flat surface. That is a flat surface. No, because it's moving too fast, right? So as it's moving too fast, you have to really understand how this all works. When you're looking at things, this is what it is when it comes to a certain acceleration. Circulation, rotation, right? That's all it is. Everything is not what you think it is, but you're in the center of operation. Okay? And so all it is just the platforms of the mind moving the system, right? Through the energetic dome that changes its position. I think that's fascinating alone, knowing you come into an expansion. What do we got here? Oh my gosh, look at that, face recognition. Ooh-ah. Okay, there's the clustrum. See? It's you dealing with you. So the inner space and the outer space is you. Okay, the center operation is also you. But see, the center operation is the body of you. The body has to understand its alignment first, understand its vessel, how to navigate and experience everything that it's already been through experience and calculation. Okay, so that's all it is, interactions, all through configuration of face recognition. Okay, that's it. We're good to go. So I hope you guys had fun with that. I'm going to stop right there because there's a lot going on. You're very confused now when it comes into all levels, how to really understand how to mind navigate the system through my vessel, through my pod, through my vehicle, and through my ship. That's it. See you guys.